What's cracking, guys? Bruce Madsen here, your host show of Metro Scout Fantasy Football, and today we're going to be talking about Kenneth Walker. The main reason we're going to be talking about him today is there's a lot of people talking about his receiving production, his ability to catch passes out of the backfield, and I just want to dig into it real quick. We all know he's caught 13 balls for 89 yards and a touchdown this year, only 18 on his career. Very low amount of catches on his entire career at the collegiate level. We know he's one of the best running backs in college football with over 1,600 yards rushing, 18 touchdowns, 4.46 yards after contact per attempt. The concern with his receiving ability, though, is what's scaring the market when it comes to rookie drafts. Last year, he caught just 13 passes while running 204 passing routes. I feel like his rushing production, though, speaks for itself. He has good vision, good wiggle, has some pop in his step, and churns out a lot of yards. He's proven he can be a workhorse. In the passing game, he had a ADOT of negative 2.1 yards and 9.8 yards after a catch per reception. I like that stat, actually. It lets us know that when he has the ball in his hands, after he catches the ball, that he's able to churn out yards in the open field, and that's something you want in your pass-catching running backs. He's not considered a pass-catching running back, but if he's getting a full workload and he's slung out in the flat, target comes his way, he does have that potential. He lined up in the slot just 6 times last year. That's something we already knew. That's something we knew from watching the tape, that he's just not a guy you're just going to wing out in the slot, have run routes. You want him in the backfield. He rushed for 1,600 yards. You're going to want to run play action off that because you want to keep that defense still when you're running the play action, so that makes sense. Tape tells us 2 different things. It tells us he can catch. It also tells us that there are some plays that just don't look perfect, but there's just not enough pass plays there to give us a full sample. He only has 18 on his career. We really have to look at those targets under a microscope and just guess at how good really he is at catching the ball out of the backfield. He also had a 61.3% catch rate, which is 4th percentile among running backs. He's not 100% efficient. However, it's a small sample. We don't know. What if he had more targets come his way and he was able to have a little uptick in that efficiency? It's hard to tell from a statistical point of view there. At the combine, he ran 4.38, 40-yard dash, 96th percentile speed score. So he has the athleticism to kick it in gear, and it's showed on the testing. It's shown on the field, especially when he gets the ball in the open field. We know he can read the momentum of the defense around him, and he tests well for speed. He shows decent speed on film. Look at the highlights from that Michigan game where he blew up. You can see that he can be a threat. So if he catches a check down, gets a ball in the flat or a couple times, that could lead to him getting a few more if the quarterback likes it. I feel like wherever he goes, it's really dependent on the quarterback, because if he has a quarterback that just wants to check it down, he sends a few his way, and Walker capitalizes on the opportunity there and gets some yards, gets some chunk yards out of that, and really makes the most of it. We could see him catching more passes than expected. Another thing I want to talk about here is Michigan State used them awfully hard in the run game. How many more touches do you expect them to get? You expect them to get a ton more touches in a passing game where a leading receiver only caught 59 balls? So there's a lot of mixed signals here. When you're looking at the receiving production, if you look at things both ways, you can really make an argument whether he is not trending well at being a decent receiving option for fantasy, or you can make the argument that he just didn't get the opportunity and he wasn't in the right offense. Peyton Thorne, quarterback from Michigan State, led all Big Ten quarterbacks with 70 passing attempts of 20 yards or more. And on those deep ball attempts, he had a 92.1 grade on those from PFF. So pretty decent. One of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten when it came to the deep ball, according to PFF. Whether you agree with that or not, That's up to you. 9.8 average depth of target, second most among Big Ten QBs. When comparing him against the Big Ten quarterback, he's second most at slinging it downfield. He likes to rifle it down. He has 400 dropbacks. 37% of his dropbacks came on play action. So fake handing off the ball, standing back there, standing tall, and slinging it deep. This is a quarterback that just wants to sling the deep ball. He's sick of handing it off, and he just want to throws rockets. He's like throw God off TikTok. That's what he wants to do. He's an average quarterback in college football, and you see from the statistics that this guy wants to throw rockets downfield, and they want to use play action to build off that because they just had a running back who rushed for 1,600 yards, 4.46 yards after contact per attempt. Freeze the defense a little bit. Let's see if we can push it downfield. Why check it down to a running back when we just hand it off to him? He's getting 4.46 yards after contact per attempt anyways. It's safer. Don't have to worry about incompletion. Why not just run it with him? It makes sense to me. He's very efficient running the ball. Why not just pound them out and then just, when it's time to throw, just rocket it deep? That makes sense from a Michigan State perspective. This isn't a team that wants to throw it downfield. Last 10 years, the running backs drafted in the second round with less than a 7% receiving share, which is up the alley with Kenneth Walker. And the names aren't too sexy. It's Ronald Jones, Donta Foreman, Derrick Henry, Kenyon Drake, Christine Michael, Nile Davis, Bernard Pierce, Alex Green, Stephen Redley, Josh Jacobs. I think he's a good back who's destined for a workhorse role, and I think that workhorse role could line up to opportunities in the passing game. Just with him being on the field full time, I could see him just working up into a full workload, and it's just sneaking up on us. We've seen this with running backs in the past, like Melvin Gordon had low receiving stats coming out of Wisconsin, and then all of a sudden it just snuck up on us. He was catching the ball in the backfield, having some good seasons. The thing I like about Kenneth Walker is he's going to get draft capital. We know he's going to be a workhorse back because whoever spends that much draft capital on him is going to want to use him in the run game. They're going to pound them out. Running backs who are projected to get a workhorse role and they're young in the league, they hold their value. So even if he's not hitting expectations, even if he's struggling getting on the field, even if he's just getting ho-hum 12 PPR fantasy points a game, even if he's sharing the backfield, whatever it is, he's going to hold his value to some degree because he's a running back, at least for that first year. Wide receivers is a bubble. When you look at that, if that wide receiver doesn't hit, that could be a decrease in value. That could possibly happen. We have like over 100 wide receivers in the league that are considered a wide receiver too, just generically. And that is just part of the game right now. It's oversaturated at the wide receiver spot. The running back spot is starting to get dry, especially when that reset hits. So if you get a running back that's young, projected with a full workload, that's getting opportunity, and the older running backs are starting to fall off, and then we got this batch of younger running backs starting to come in the league, a guy like Kenneth Walker, there's going to be a transition period where he's going to hold some value. And if he's getting a full workload, he's getting touches, if he's getting 15, 20 touches a game, and most of it's carries, it's going to hold some value in Dynasty. It's going to make him a safe asset. I feel like he's going to trend into a larger passing workload than expected. I feel like that could be in his future. I like his yards after catch, his yards after contact. I like what he does with the ball in his hands. I like his vision. I feel like his vision, his ability to escape, to get those extra yards is what's going to allow him to get those added opportunities in space. I feel like if he's getting a workhorse role and they're using him in the passing game, then there's going to be some chances that he's going to get some targets. That's going to happen, especially if he goes on a team with a quarterback who wants to check it down. And when we talk about catching passes, especially checkdowns, that's not a high acuity target. That's not super hard for these super athletes to do. That's not a really tough thing. There are some guys like Andre Williams in the past. There are drop machines. We've seen that. But honestly, a running back catching a few passes out of the flat every game, that's not a tremendous barrier in a skill set. That is something that can be picked up. That's something he's probably already able to do. And we've seen it do it on tape. We've seen him do it some, just not much. Can he have a high functioning workload in the passing game to boost his fantasy production, to boost his upside, that's to be debatable. That is debatable. We don't know. We don't have enough data that tells us either way. We don't have enough data that tells us that he can't, and we don't have enough data that tells us he can. I have data that speculates on both ways. I watched the tape. It tells me both ways. There are some targets where it doesn't look pretty. There's also some targets where you see it and you're like, yep, he's good enough to get the job done. I'm fine with this. Let's roll with him. He's going to get the draft capital. He's going to get the touches. All in all, I'm not scared of drafting him at all. I feel like he's going to get decent draft capital. I feel like he's going to go to a decent situation. Considering that draft capital, he's probably going to be in line for touches early in his career. He should be all right. He should hold his value for a while. And if he's holding his value, no matter what happens, it's up to you whether you want to sell or not from there. So he's going to give you a window where you can just determine what you want to do with him. I feel like if he's on the field being a workhorse back, there's going to be a time where he's going to get the opportunity to see a role in the passing game. And what happens there is going to be up to him. And if his 4.38 speed, 4.4 speed, whatever you want to call it, and his yards after contact, yards after the catch kicks in, that may trickle down the more workload in the passing game, which it should. I mean, if you're breaking off chunks of yards in the flat, in open space, then you should get more opportunities doing that. If that happens, then we could see a running back here that's exceeding expectations. There is a trend of running backs, though, who's had this production that has not hit or who's not been very productive in the passing game at the NFL level. That being said, you got to be leery on that. You got to weigh that in. I feel like, though, with the running back reset coming up, and with him being a younger running back, getting high-end draft capital, projected to get a lot of carries early in his career, at least get those opportunities to succeed or to fail or to at least prove himself, that's something I want to bet on. I feel like if he's getting those opportunities and he's doing well running the ball, turning out chunks of yards, getting yards after contact, running between the tackles, then that's going to materialize with him getting some passing down work. But that's all I got here on Kenneth Walker. I think he's a very good running back. I feel like this is a good value for a guy you know that's going to get draft capital and touches early in his career. Let me know what you think about him. Are you paying up for him? Are you fading him for one of the big three wide receivers? Or are you all in and ready to go? Drop it in comments. Let me know. But make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. Every subscription matters. It fuels me to keep putting out this content. Fuels me to keep helping with your Dynasty teams. And we're almost there to draft day. Just a few more days. Tap that subscribe button. Hit that like button. And I'll catch you next time.